This is the creation and recreation of Venus. My name is John Zapata, and today we will be looking at two paintings, looking at the historical and cultural context of each, and finally comparing and contrasting them in order to find their differences and their similarities. First painting was by Tiziano Titian Vecellio. He was a Renaissance of Venetian painter, originally from Italy. He was mostly known for his use of colors. As you can see in this painting, in Venus of Urbino, where he has a heavy use of color, and he also has a heavy use of lining and a very large attention to detail. He was a trendsetter of the lying nude, so after this picture, a lot of painters um, were inspired and used naked subjects in order to put them in their paintings. And he was mostly famous for representing beauty in its traditional form, which is why this painting was highly praised at the time. Its historical content: Venus was controlled by wealthy families, passed down from generation to generation, and the wealthy had a large interest in the arts, which at the end of the day helped a lot of artists in Venice become more known as time went by. The cultural contents, the representation of the Italian Renaissance, um, and because of the rise of the city, Venice had became the center for the arts during the Renaissance, which is why a lot of artists became famous at the time. The other painting was made by Edouard Manet. He went to Paris to follow his passion for art after failing naval school. He was considered the initiator of modernism, constantly attacked for his unusual style, since he was, again, the initiator of modernism. And he lived from 1832 to 1883. Um, this was Manet's Olympia, and this was Manet's modern version of Titian's Venus of Urbino. He was highly criticized for not depicting the traditional style of beauty. This was actually one of Manet's favorite subjects, and the problem with this subject is the fact that she was a prostitute, and since she was a prostitute, this painting caused a lot of turmoil and a lot of anger across France. This painting made him the initiator of modernism. He broke away from the traditional and classical styles of painting and made his own with this painting, which is why he was considered the initiator or the father of modernism. Um, its historical contents. France as a country was unstable during the early 19th century. This was due to reasons of politics. And many refugees were entering France during the time, which had a lot of people looking for money in different ways. This also explains the rise in prostitutes at the time, which comes to this point. There was a rise of prostitutes in France at the time, which was increasingly concerning for them as a people, just because they were pushing for sexual repression and they were trying to get away from sexuality. And the view of beauty that Manet had was different from that of people of France. They saw Manet's favorite model as a prostitute and was highly criticized for it just because of that. Now, to compare and contrast both of these paintings, realism is depicted in Manet's Olympia, and naturalism is shown in Titian's Venus. Naturalism is shown just because he uses very heavy colors, and while Manet uses realism in where he shows he tries to steer away from beauty in its form, and he tries to go for more of a real look in his model. You can see this in the faces of Olympia and Venus. Manet's Olympia has less color, but more attention to the subject's emotion. And Titian uses precise lining and focuses more on exposing the beauty of the subject rather than exposing her emotion. These are my works cited, and this has been the creation and recreation of Venus. I'm John Zapata.